Kaylee braided my mullet.
Wow. Oh, look at us.
265.
Episode 265. And dude, if you're watching on YouTube, we look fucking sensational.
I mean, what's added to it, Kev, is the swirl that you got coming out of the front of your hat.
It just puts the whole look together.
Right.
Dude, we all have our own very unique look. It is very, very different in every way. I guess my face could be bald if Kluver has the full beard and you have a mustache. But I kind of like let's look fucking incognito. Oh, welcome back, Wash Up Walk-Ons fans. Excuse me, episode 265 of the podcast. And a happy podcast again, I presume. I'm going to admit to you guys right now that I saw very little of the game. And I have my own personal reasons for that. One, because I had better things to do than sit on the couch and watch two reasonably bad football teams play each other. But that's neither here nor there. I'm going to sit back for most of this podcast, shut my dumb ass up, and listen to the two better halves of this podcast talk to each other. Guys, indulge.
Technically the majority, because I hold the 34%. Well, it wouldn't matter anyway if it was you two with 2 against 1. And yeah, this is the Barbershop podcast. We're all looking slightly, I mean, Drake looks the same, and we get comments on the mullet all the time.
Dude, I'll tell you what, the 3 looks that are sitting in this chat room right now are fantastic. I think they're a little bit nostalgic in a way, and I find them hilarious. I love the 3 look of the 3 Stooges.
We're the Stooges for sure. The walk-ons are happier this week, a little bit. Drake's not as sad. The offense is still.
All I know is that it was a 17-12 game against Northwestern. So, like,
yeah,
is that how good did we really play, man?
Not good.
Not great.
Not good. But guess what? Somehow
We're 7-2.
We're
And if not great is a very, very big improvement from absolutely pitiful. So, dude, next week, if we're decent, and then the week after that, we're, hey, these guys are putting something together. Imagine that. Imagine if 2 weeks were, these guys are putting something together.
If in 2 weeks we can sit back and say, there's something going here, then I would say we pretty, man, it's so weird because we've got 3 games left on the schedule. Next week, this is Kevin's favorite week. Okay, because Kevin, what's on the line?
Oink, oink, motherfucker.
Bacon, you bitches.
Oink, oink. It's a big week. It's a trophy week. There's 2 trophy games left. One of those is against a team that just scored 6 points against Illinois. Okay. Drake, did you know that happened?
I knew that Illinois blew them out, or
No.
effectively.
I mean, 14-6, Illinois over Minnesota.
It wasn't it 14-0 early?
Yeah, and then they didn't.
Oh, dude, see, that's why it turned out. It was 14-0 early. I heard Minnesota scored 6 points, and I was just like, oh, it was a blowout.
Kev, did you watch any of that game?
I watched a good deal of that game.
And what happened?
Well, given the score, 14-6, not a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the box score here. So, oh my God, are you kidding
Underrated
me?
joke.
Illinois passed the ball 9 times.
Yeah, no, they can't throw the ball. They did the same thing versus Penn State. They, I think, had more passing attempts than they had passing yards or something like that. It was, and they just ran the ball like 60 times that game. But yeah, so Illinois got a few drives and managed to punch it in the end zone a couple times, and Minnesota couldn't do anything. Like They are really hurting in the running back room. They have
4-string, right?
Yeah, they're hurting, and they don't have a very good passing game. Tanner Morgan's been there for 8 years, and he still can't throw the ball.
Grandpa
down the
Morgan,
field.
huh? Just the shoulders
Dude,
getting.
he looks older than you do, Kluver, and that is saying something.
What do I look right now? Am I rocking 35?
You look aged. You look weathered. You look like you should have some wisdom.
Kluve, you can tell me you're anywhere from 25 to 45.
Don't say 45, dude.
No, you could say
Kluver,
25
have you
to
looked in
45,
a
and I
mirror
think people
lately?
would believe you.
There's no way. Look at. I get it.
Kluver, shut up right now. Shut up right now.
Oh.
Kluver, if you were 12 and looked at yourself right now, you would be like, holy shit, I got old. I got to be 39.
Dude. Fuck you guys.
I'm not saying it looks bad. I think it looks really good, actually. I'm just saying.
I don't know about
if
40.
you were an actor in Hollywood, your cast age would be 25 to 40.
Okay, I'll take 40. And that's only from the face, dude. Because if you get a body shot on me, I look just as good as you guys. All right.
Well,
And that's
like, hey, you can be jacked into your 50s, man.
and I plan on it. And I fucking plan on it. Okay. I'm gonna be that guy who
Five more.
No, we're up at like 40 already. This podcast. I got a haircut. I'm effectively bald. Kevin is rocking the Farva look. And have you applied to be a state trooper yet, or?
I haven't, but I don't think I even need to apply. I think I just walk in with this mustache, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, sure. Here's a gun. Here's your car. Go, go.
Do whatever.
Trooping.
Go get the bad guys.
Those start trooping, bud.
Yeah.
I'm
Go troop the state, bro.
Happy trooping. I'm looking at this box score, Minnesota, Illinois, who are 2 of the 3 opponents we have left. We'll get to the Northwestern game. I promise. There was a QB change. Kevin and I, at the same time, were texting, which is rare that we text during a game. And as we're texting, it happens. We both sent to each other, "Oh boy, here we go." But these 2 teams that we have left to play, Peters was 7 of 9 for 80 yards and a touchdown. And their starting running back, C. Brown, 32 carries for 147 yards. That's it. That's all Illinois did. Minnesota somehow scores 6 points on 15 of 27 passing. Their running back had 16 carries for 60 yards, which isn't god awful, but
so I think people were hyping up Minnesota's offensive line kind of
yes,
not last year, 2 years ago, and before this season, when really it was all Ibrahim doing the work. That guy is an absolute stud. He's the real deal.
He's a stallion.
They would be a completely different team with him. I think it's kind of showing now that Minnesota's offensive line isn't as good as it was made out to be. They got some big dudes, but I don't really think they move very well. Now, I guess we can't really talk, but
their center's good, by the way. Their center is good. They're very similar to us, actually. Center is the best part of their line, and then it gets significantly less quality.
Yeah, their defense is not in the same league as ours, though.
No, and I haven't seen them play all year. But the fact that they lost 14-6 Illinois, they've had weird games like losing to Bowling Green, but yet blowing out Colorado. They just have they may have played the weirdest schedule all year. Played great, and granted, it was with Ibrahim.
Yeah, and then they beat Purdue, and
they beat Purdue 20-13, which let's talk about
Purdue. When Purdue is on their game, is like
dangerous.
Probably the 2nd or 3rd best team in the Big Ten.
If David Bell decides he's going to have a
2nd or 3rd best, I mean, who else they got to beat?
I mean, they're playing Ohio State this weekend coming up, so we'll find out.
And I'm excited.
That's true. That's so unfair, though. They got to go through the absolute grinder.
Dude, I'm telling you, I think they have a legitimate. I haven't seen what the line opened up at, and I'm not sure if they're home or away, but I think they'll match up pretty well against Ohio State if they're on their game.
I agree. I'm excited to watch that happen. Let me scroll back down here and find Purdue will be playing at Ohio State. That makes it tougher to go to the shoe and win. But it wasn't but 2018 that they beat Ohio State. It was at Purdue, I believe, but they knocked off Ohio State, top 5 win.
It wasn't but 12 days ago that they beat us in fucking Kinnick. $5 more to the children. Cha-ching.
They have 2 top 5 wins this year at the time, and their offense is dangerous, especially when their quarterbacks are slinging it. And it's a weird multiple quarterback system that is unorthodox, but it works for them.
Mm-hmm.
And David Bell is better than probably anybody that you have on defense. That's just the way it is. And that guy is going to make all of the money in the NFL. But unfortunately, he's not there yet. And so what's the face for?
Ohio State -20.
Wow. Somebody get on that right now. If it's Monday morning and you're listening to this,
Kevin, can I Venmo you right now?
Put the house on it, boys and girls. They think
Interesting.
It's
interesting. I think Purdue.
Can I Venmo you right now, Kevin? Is that a yes? No? Can I Venmo you, Kluver? Can I put a bet in somewhere? Can a guy get a bet in?
Yeah, allegedly.
But no, like if you get the Purdue you got last week, and you get the Purdue that you got versus the Hawks, where their passing game is just perfect. You know, they're just making all the throws, making all the catches. I think Ohio State's secondary can be vulnerable to that.
I agree.
Well, are they going to give up some points? I think so, yeah. But 3 touchdowns? Are you kidding me? I mean, you could probably already go ahead and call that one of my awards winners for next week.
Yeah.
That's my pick. I locked that one in too because I'm trying to get somebody to put that in for me.
We might just make that an outstanding pick of the pod, and then everybody else has their own 3. Like, this is the walk-ons pick of the week.
And that means it's guaranteed to lose.
And then we will definitely lose. Purdue will lose by 40. Interesting that they beat Michigan State after, Michigan State, similar thing, right? They have this big hyped up game against, they just suffered the exact same fate that Iowa did, right? Top 5 win, top 10 ranked game. I think actually, Michigan was 6th or something, 7th. And all of that, they come down from that. They play Purdue, and Purdue says, sorry, we'll take this one. And what does that do for the Big Ten, right? Not great. Assuming that Michigan State was, the obviously the last one to be able to run the table, but I think a 1 loss still gets in. We'll talk about that. Maybe
1 loss gets in, which means it's going to have to be Michigan State or Ohio State, which is the same as it was before.
Right.
They play each other in 2 weeks. Ohio State's got a rough schedule down the stretch. They just came off a tough game with Nebraska. They got Purdue. That's apparently getting no respect. They were getting a ton of respect. They're only 3-point dogs versus Michigan State, and turn around, beat them, and now they're 20-point dogs versus Ohio State.
No.
I don't see it personally, but Ohio State was 14-point favorites versus Nebraska. How are you going to tell me that Purdue needs more points than Nebraska?
That's interesting to me.
Yeah,
and Purdue
Ohio State's got Purdue, Michigan State, Michigan, Big Ten championship. They got a tough 4 weeks ahead of them.
Kev, I watched an Air Force Army game, of which the second half was electric. That was a cool game, dude. Honestly, I enjoyed watching it. The first half was trash, and I didn't watch any of that because I was actually not home. I get home, and as we know, we're going to go into the quick recap here. Your boy had the Air Force Army over 37.
I text Kluve at halftime. It's like off to a great start. 0-0, baby.
We also gave that pick out to a few of the boys. They had that, and they were not happy with the 0-0 halftime score. I say, okay, cool. At least I know my parlay is done, and I don't have to worry about it the rest of the day. Then I get home. I check the scoreboard. We got 4 minutes left in the third quarter, and it's 14-3. Air Force is driving, baby. And from that point on, it was a wild game all the way through overtime, to where Air Force eventually couldn't get it done. If they score, they would have tied the ball game. The over would have hit, and the over would have hit, and then all we would have needed was Air Force to like make a stop or just somehow swing the tide their way and win, and we would hit both bets. But nonetheless, that one hurt.
We go 0 for 2 in the Commanders and Chief game.
Now,
unfortunately,
Wisconsin, they helped me out. They decided to absolutely curb stomp Rutgers. Minus 13 line. They won by 50. Almost. Michigan State, we just talked about that. I had them -3. Evidently, I'm a dumbass. But Kevin does hit on that one. Over 52. And Kevin goes 2-1 because Baylor lost. Or no, 1-2. 1-2 for both of us because the Fighting Dylan Doyles couldn't get it done against TCU.
dude, their secondary got absolutely torched by TCU. They gave up like 500 yards through the air.
And this is why sports betting is hard. Now,
Yeah.
now Drake, Cincinnati decided to get trashed by Cleveland. Baker Mayfield showed up to the game today. Arizona, I believe, is going to cover that by a sizable margin. And the Chargers were up the last time I saw. Yes. So
I got a final for you, 27-24. Chargers. Drake
Yep.
covers that, I believe.
yep, -1.5.
And the 49ers are down by 14.
But I mean,
with
what
a
kind
minute
of
left.
roller coaster is Cincinnati on? They're like, they were playing so good. They're like 5-2, blowing people out of the stadium, and now they're
Yeah,
just
and then
going to
they give
get.
up 40 to the Jets and get blown out by the.
Dude, they literally were sprinting down the track, and then a gigantic bird took a shit in their face, and they fell down.
Yeah, someone sniped them from the back. They're the Minnesota of the NFL. They can't decide what they want to do. Hey, you know what it is? So, that's that. Betting, not so great week, 4-5. But not as bad as a week we've had. Interesting, the AP poll came out. I don't think the AP poll actually looks at things because they have Iowa ahead of Wisconsin.
That just don't make sense.
Iowa is 19th in the AP poll, and Wisconsin is 20th. And evidently they forgot about last week. And
Dude, that just shows you how little they pay attention, man. People take these guys' word like it means something.
Yeah.
It is a bunch of Cheeto fingers that get paid to do nothing, dude. Did they not watch the game? The game happened.
yeah, it's interesting too how much people how much people truly buy in with their soul to rankings. They see, and it's Iowa has suffered a little bit of that this year. We got that number 2 by our name, and people started thinking, oh shit, we want Bama. Turns out rankings are a man-made system. It's not real. It's Fugazi. Right?
Can you imagine us trying to run the ball on Georgia?
Oh, we'd be screwed.
Oh,
Dude, Georgia would beat us 50-0. And we wouldn't get over 100 yards of offense.
Georgia is not only like curb stomping people, they're curb stomping people and covering massive spreads.
Yeah, it's
I think they're like
ridiculous.
7-2 against the spread this year.
Yeah, they're insane. So there's all that. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Northwestern Iowa game. There were some things that happened. It wasn't exciting, but we'll get into it.
Yo, what a fucking way to introduce the way that we're going to talk about this game.
What?
You're like, yeah, well, we'll talk about it. Not really much happened, but well, we'll get into it. See ya.
Well, hey, guess what? We brought we went to the fridge. We searced the condiment.
I mean, that's something, man. We switched quarterbacks, and what happened? Like, what happened?
Some will tell you that Padilla is the answer. Solely the answer. I will tell you that it was a great game for him to come in, especially with Petras, who is hurt.
Yeah, that's what they're kind of speculating, that Petras has been a little bit banged up. I mean, his first 2 series, he puts like 3 balls in the dirt, not even close to receiver's feet. And it's like, So I wonder if their game plan going into the game was like, see if he's got it or not, and and Padilla's going in, or if it really was, Padilla, it's your time.
So the speculation, not even the speculation, I think Coach Ferentz talked about it in the post game of Wisconsin. Spencer was hurt. Like he hurt his shoulder in the Wisconsin game. And not that it mattered because we didn't even get it. I mean, we were that bad on offense that we didn't even know how bad he was hurt because
and again, this podcast was sitting here saying it's not Spencer's fault. It's not his fault that we got beat by Wisconsin.
Yeah. And, everybody has their opinions. There's somebody on every side of this deal. So what's interesting to me, Kev and Drake, is if he's that hurt, I mean, and he looked bad, Drake, when he came out.
Oh yeah, he just could not make the throw.
Some of the Cheeto fingers.
Was it like the shoulder wouldn't even go? Like he was trying to like torso throw it.
Wouldn't even fire.
Like he couldn't get it to a 10-yard out route.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So people will argue with me on this one, but I don't care because it's just factually true. Spencer is markedly better this year, accuracy wise and touch wise, than he was in 2020. It's a fact. Okay. When he's had time to throw to receivers, he's been pretty damn accurate this year. He was not in 4 attempts. 3 of 4 attempts literally hit the dirt. So it was clear that something was off. Obviously, we weren't in the locker room. We weren't in the facility this past week. But you would think, and I'm not questioning the coaches here because, again, I don't know all the shit. But you would think that with how much he's been questioned, how much the offense has been questioned, especially Purdue, Wisconsin games, and how close it felt like we already were to, hey, screw it, put Padilla in. With an added injury factor into that, I find it interesting that they started him at all.
A little bit. It could just be like he was okay throughout the week, okay in pregame, and game just comes. Maybe something pops in the shoulder a little bit or something, something happens. You never know. But if he was throwing like that all week, I would expected Padilla to come out series 1.
And it sounded like that might have been the way it was. Coach Ferentz said he wasn't, he was clearly not his full self in practice. And then even in warmups, it was clear he did not have the full function. So I don't think it's irresponsible. I don't think it's Clifford level, James Franklin Clifford level ignorance, but it's, I mean, let's be honest. He's not Bryce Young. Like it's not one of those situations. By the way, a very similar situation is happening in Nebraska. Dude, Adrian Martinez, who I said in the beginning of the year, the way they play football, Martinez hates his life and he's going to get murdered. He's been playing the last 2 weeks with a broken jaw because they don't have a better option, dude. Frost has been sending him out there saying, hey, speak through your teeth, because if we put number 2 in, we're going to lose these games by even more. And so it's this weird thing of like, well, is a guy willing to tough it out? And I don't know. It just seemed like it was close enough between Padilla and Petras. Hey, throw Padilla out there. Regardless, he comes in and he makes some plays happen. Why is it, in your guys' opinion, that when a backup comes in, there's a spark? There's this weird, like when they make that final, like, what is quantifiable about that? In my opinion, I think it's that, okay, we've gone a different direction. There's nothing to lose. Everybody plays a little bit looser. But I don't know. Is that it?
I'm going to just say in general, that's just not factual. I mean, for everyone that comes in, the guy starts throwing around like it's backyard football. There's another guy that is throwing it to the other team, taking sacks he's not supposed to take.
I'm going with Kevin, man. I've seen a lot of backup quarterbacks come in and shit the sheets.
Yeah, and that was sort of, yeah. I'm glad that.
But I think especially not knowing he was, I imagine Padilla got some reps with the ones this week.
He did.
I bet he knew there was a good possibility that he was going to have to step in, but coming in off the bench after the first couple series, I thought he did his job.
Yeah,
for the most part. I don't think he was great. I don't think we can anoint him the guy going forward or the guy next year yet. Again, Northwestern's a bad.
I was just going to say, and why is that, Kevin? Because this was not the Wisconsin defense that we saw last week.
No,
it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
I want everybody
not even close.
Yeah.
Man.
Before you continue, if you have more thoughts, I want everybody listening right now to go back to the 4 plays that Spencer threw. If you can find the replay and tell me that there wasn't drastically more time on those plays. Because Kevin texted me, he goes, hey, Petras isn't even getting the ball to the guys and he's being given time. Right. And that was right before he got pulled. This offensive line gave whatever quarterback was in the game a significant amount of more time this week. And it was because they played Northwestern and not Purdue or Wisconsin. And if you just say, nope, it was Padilla, he was the one, it was 100% him, then you're just not smart.
Yeah. The offensive line played better today. Obviously, they're not playing the defensive lines they saw the last couple of weeks.
Right.
But in pass protection, I thought they did an okay job. Padilla had time. He wasn't running for his life. It wasn't like he was dropping back, guy in his face like we saw like the last couple of weeks. They kind of still struggled in the run game. But still, this is a team that, like, Northwestern's got like the worst defense in the league.
Yeah.
They have the worst run defense in the league.
Yep.
For us to only be able to put up 17 points was frustrating. We were horrible on third down. I think
2 of 14.
Oh,
2 of 14.
That's horrible. Yeah. And I was just a sloppy game overall. The defense gave up 12 points, one field goal after a blocked punt.
How pissed were you?
That was
on
like
touchdown?
The worst 9 points given up I've ever seen them play.
How pissed were you on
tackles,
the
sloppy,
touchdown in the fourth quarter?
Yeah. I mean, the 3 picks that we got, the guy just threw them to us.
Yeah.
We didn't work for those. Good job, guys, for not dropping them.
The one that Jamari got was a little bit forced by a blitz ball.
Yeah, under pressure.
Yeah. Northwestern's
I just can't point to anything we did particularly well in that game.
Well, you just 17 points. Padilla.
That's another under for the boys.
Under.
Oh, yeah, by a mile.
29 total points. I think it was 40 right at kickoff. What does Padilla do that is better than Spencer? Let's talk about it.
He's more mobile.
I see 3 things actually specifically. He is clearly more mobile, right? He made a throw on the run to his right that was a dart on the money. Spencer Petras is not going to provide you with that type of play. He's not even going to get outside of the pocket to attempt that throw. And if he does, he's not good throwing on the run. When Padilla was in the pocket, and again, this is very hard to quantify. There were several throws that he made downfield where he's giving our guys a chance, more so than Petras, specifically the Keegan Johnson on the sideline. Keegan was not wide open. It was maybe Padilla's 3rd or 4th play. And Padilla threw it up and let Keegan go make a play. And there has been a lack of chances taken. And I don't know if that's just Spencer playing safe, but I am one who, if you have those playmakers, and we've got a couple, Keegan is clearly a playmaker. Arlen Bruce, clearly a playmaker.
I'm excited to see those guys in the years to come.
They're going to be incredible. You have to let your playmakers make plays. And to do that, sometimes you got to make them be the guy. You do your best, make them make the play. And he let Keegan do that. He let Arlen do that on a couple plays. The 3rd thing he does better than Spencer is when he does have time, say they both have time, they both have a pocket, they both have an open throw. And you can correct me if I'm wrong watching him, Kevin. Padilla has a quicker release. He has a quicker release when he's throwing the ball. Not always a good thing. Sometimes that's rushed, or sometimes that can cause mechanical issues. You're too sped up.
Are you talking get the ball, get it out of your hand, or his actual throwing motion?
His throwing motion is quicker.
Sure. Yeah, I'd agree.
And again, maybe a insignificant detail in another year where our line gives us 4 seconds instead of 2, but every little thing helps when we're looking at this offensive line, especially through the last 3 games. It's one more thing that allows us to get the ball out a little faster with Alex than it is Spencer. So other than that, very hard for me to say if he knows the playbook better, or if he's just as good at checking plays, or if he's just as good at, being a leader out on the field. That's all yet to be seen. Your thoughts, Kevin?
I mean, I generally agree with most everything you said. I imagine he will probably be the guy again this weekend coming up.
That's the question that we're working our way to.
Yeah, so he's going to have a chance here to. I mean, just given what I saw from Petras on Saturday, I just don't see him being able to throw the ball like he usually can with some gas on it from what I saw Saturday, which means I'm expecting to see Padilla out first drive of the game.
Yeah.
So he's going to have a chance here in these next couple games, and in bowl prep, I think it could very well be an open competition next year again for quarterback.
Are we looking at CJ Beathard's story?
Well, that is what the fans want by a
Have people been comparing it to a CJ Beathard story?
Yes. That is what people want by a wide margin. Again, with just seeing Padilla play the other day, they are jumping to the conclusion that he could be, and let's be honest, there's a great question I got too from somebody that says, I understand this is Padilla's first meaningful snaps, but given KF's track record with starting McCann over Brad Banks, Christensen over Ricky Stanzi, Rudock over Beathard, and now Petras over Padilla, he's throwing Padilla in with Banks, Stanzi, and Beathard. So we need to slow down a little bit. And he does say, I understand this is Padilla's first meaningful snaps. What do you think needs to change in how KF evaluates quarterbacks? We're jumping really, really far ahead. But clearly there's a reason Spencer was the starting guy, right? KF and the boys over in Iowa City, they don't just sit there at the Hanson Performance Center and say, you know what? Yeah, Alex is better. But I think we'll start Spencer this year, you know?
So I have a question for you guys. Who do you truly think decides? I know KF always has the final say. So at the end of the day, he has the trump card.
Yeah, there's your answer.
But I believe that the decision-making of who the quarterback's going to be is a very collaborative decision.
Of course.
I would say so.
Yeah.
And
Keefe doesn't have a say in that.
Right. And Brian Ferentz and all the former coordinators. So it would be questioning everybody who has been making a decision along the way. If you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It wouldn't have just been KF's decision alone. Right. He doesn't, he doesn't call the plays. He's the head coach. He has the final say. He brings together the minds that run the intricate parts, and he oversees the operation like it's his operation, and he put together the parts. Yeah. But he doesn't have to make every decision just by himself. Right. That's kind of what
he gives his coaches a decent amount of autonomy. I know Coach Parker has, he's going to put in
unlimited.
Who he wants to put in.
Yeah. Defensively, I think Parker is essentially on KF's level when it comes to defensive autonomy. And then it is an interesting question, Drake. I get what you're getting at, because even when you're on the inside and you're in those meetings.
Dude, listen, man, in that 2017 season, we had no idea who was going to be the quarterback up until the week before the game. Like legitimately, we had no idea, and I still don't know who made the decision. Like, and what was the decision making process, and like, you know what I'm saying? We know nothing, and we
I
were
remember
right there on the team.
That was a tough camp competition too. I remember Nate and Uyghurs were going ones every other series for the entire camp almost.
And it was very, very similar. It was
very close
race.
too. It was like, I think they just went with the guy they saw probably had a little bit more upside.
Yeah.
And I think agree. In the end, they probably made the right decision. Love Tyler Uyghurs to death. Awesome guy.
Yeah. And Nate also had an extra year. And so there was just a few things that were slightly leaning his way.
And he had a rocket launcher, dude. He was like, dude, it's like, do you not start Randy Johnson? Really? Game 7 of the World Series, do you not start the unit? And that motherfucker had a rocket launcher on his arm.
He did. It's an interesting question because it's something that fans ask too. And I think when you come to this podcast, you want the walk-ons insight. There were meetings that the walk-ons and the scholarship athletes were not in on. And those were the staff meetings. And we are just as curious as you guys are about some of the decisions and conversations that happened in those staff meetings.
And I've even told like managers or GAs that I would like do anything to be a fly on the wall, like get me a bug in one of the coaches' meetings. Like I was trying to get bugs in the meetings to hear those conversations, dude.
Drake was
Drake. I don't think they ever really talked about you, so
yeah.
No. I didn't care about myself. I wanted to just hear. I just wanted to know the information. You know what I'm saying? Like that. It's like I want to be in the Oval Office for a fly on the wall meeting, not because they're talking about me, because I want to know what's being talked about in the Oval Office.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Can you just imagine Joe Biden having conversations about
yeah, you know,
they're calling me Brandon now. Oh, that's enough. That's enough. We get Drake going on politics. We know how that'll end. And yeah,
speaking of politics,
what
about there's just like they just let 12 people on the field and just like didn't get them off.
Oh yeah,
for Drake, like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
I'm just like, what?
Did you see it, Drake?
Why is this timeout taking so long? Why am I still looking at KF right now? Yeah. And they're like, oh, we're on a little bit of a delay. I'm like, why? And then they're like,
Kevin's disgust with the flow of the broadcast.
I'm like, I'm not really having much fun watching this football game right now. I kind of want it to move along.
So Drake, there were Northwestern students, I believe, who
a bunch of dorks.
Yeah, wrote on bed sheets. And I only know what one of them said, and it was
abolish NUPD.
Abolish the Northwestern University Police Department.
There was one that said something about.
I mean, I can kind of get along with that. The Iowa City Police Department, they can kind of kick rocks.
At least abolish the ticketing office. You know, the parking police.
We can get behind that. We can get behind University Heights.
And University Heights. I'll never forget when Josie drove his no muffler moped through University Heights at 4:45 a.m. Just woke up the entire neighborhood. No, but yeah, so Drake, they walked out onto the field and no one stopped them. There was no security. I mean, they just walked their ass out onto the middle of the field and stood there for.
Yeah, of course, there's no security, dude. It's a bunch of nerds and dorks. I'm surprised 12 people in that student section had the nuts to walk out on the field.
The funniest thing was they were holding up the sheets away from the TV camera.
It was the wrong direction. So
and then so I didn't see this. I didn't know this until some people told me on Twitter that there was an Iowa fan who ran out there trying to get him off the field.
He knocked down a couple of the bed sheets. So savage.
Hey,
he's like, dude, I just want to watch some football. Get it off the field.
Listen, he's part of the Army. I don't care if he listens to the podcast.
Somebody find him and let him know.
We need to get in touch with him immediately because he is part of our Army. We're not big Northwestern fans around here. And also, like, get off the field. It's time to play some football.
Yeah.
Dorks.
We'll take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to close up the Padilla conversation, and I'm going to ask these boys who they start on Saturday, and we're going to talk about Kevin Ward's healthy morning shake recipe. And we're back. Kevin,
Yo.
how do you start your morning off? First of all, the other day it was with a scoop of vanilla ice cream.
What happened to the quarterback conversation?
Because this is going to be quick, and then we're going to go back to the good stuff. So let the head coach make the final decision. Okay, I'm Kirk Ferentz.
That's crazy. I will beat the shit out of you. I will legitimately. Yeah. I will listen. Clifford,
you're Brian.
Hey, stop talking right now. Stop talking right now because Brian is on the mic right now, and I will choke you the fuck out. I have the means and I have the time to fly to Iowa.
Okay.
I know your address. I will walk into your house, choke you unconscious, piss on you, and then remind you that you cannot speak to me that way. Okay? Now you can have the mic.
Oh, shit. All right. And I know that you report to Barta. Okay. But you're fired because I make the final call here. All right. And we're wearing the high socks over the knees, and that's just the way it is. Yeah. So
KF loves the socks.
Yeah.
Speaking of Barta's getting trashed at Cincinnati.
Well, when you have
dude, Barta's on game day with his teeth just getting buried.
Well, dude, when you put an undefeated Cincinnati team at 6, I mean, Gary, what are we doing? You know? Not a good job to have, right? Sure, he gets compensated well, right? Good thing for the resume. Not that he needs it. He's retirement age anyway. But, no one on that committee is going to be Santa Claus, right? No one's looking at them like, oh,
no, that's a no love job you get there.
It's like you're basically the politicians of the NCAA.
At least politicians, half the people like you.
Right. Yeah. If you get 48% approval.
Yeah. I mean, if there was like a approval rating for the college football committee right now, I'd probably be sub 30.
Yeah. But anyway, Drake, I'm KF and you're BF. In that situation, Brian could beat the shit out of his dad. You're Phil. You're Phil Parker.
You're 100% Phil.
Fucking
dude, you're his son. You're Beef's son and you're Phil's nephew. My apologies, Beef.
And so they're brothers. Kevin,
does that not make sense? Phil and Beef could for sure be brothers.
Sure.
They don't look alike or nothing, but they could,
Yeah,
they traded some paint back in the day.
Yeah.
They'd get along quite well in a tavern somewhere.
Sure. They'd be on each other's side. Kevin, to grow a beautiful mustache and to keep that blonde hair and that 20 years in a row Best Bod award, how do you wake up in the morning and what goes into a healthy Kevin Ward nutrition shake?
Yeah. So I like to get my morning workouts in, and you never want to train on an empty stomach. So I roll out of bed, grab my my Ninja blender, which I got from the Rose Bowl.
Yep.
People made fun of me for that because that was like a top tier gift. You could get that. You could get like a reclining chair.
We use the shit out of that thing.
Yeah. And I still got my Ninja blender. I don't know anyone else who's still got the reclining chair out there.
True.
So I'm still putting that thing to use 5 to 6 times a week. So I grab a cup, throw some spinach, some carrots, a little baby tomato, some strawberries, blueberries, some protein powder, some flaxseed, some mushroom powder, a little milk, blend it all up, pound it down. I'm ready to lift some weights.
Now, the mushroom powder, what's the benefit there? Tell the people, tell me.
It's got a lot of good stuff for your immune system. It's got a lot of good stuff for.
It's not Drake's kind of mushrooms.
No. We're not tripping balls while we're going to the.
Listen, man, microdosing just makes your day a little bit brighter. I unfortunately do not have the access to a bunch of mushrooms. If I did, I would put them in a food processor, grind them up, put them in capsules, and I would take a little couple capsules every day and microdose some mushrooms and be a lot happier. But
What's the tomato for?
Why not?
Okay. Just vegetable.
Yeah.
All right.
Got some vitamins in there.
You think
Some
Padilla or
minerals.
Petras has a shake like that in the morning to get their day started? Or you think they hit one of those core 42s?
I couldn't tell you about Padilla. I've seen pics of Spencer with his shirt off, and I'm gonna say no to him.
Ooh.
Got a little dad.
That's
bod over
a low blow to Spencer, man. Spence did not deserve that low blow when he's already hurt and potentially losing his job.
I will say this. Wiegers, though he didn't win the position battle, was the most bodied QB we had. Him and Ryan Boyle, although Ryan switched to wide receiver. They were the most body QBs we've had over the last decade. Because otherwise, we've had
Wiegers
some.
was big on the nutrition, man.
Oh, he's huge.
Yeah.
He's a beefy, sort of cut up guy.
Yeah. He was on the poster one year.
Yeah. Had the little bicep vein in there. Kevin Ward, Drake Kulik, you're the starting. You are now KF. We've switched roles. I'm no longer KF. You're KF. You're BF. You're whoever makes the decision. You're the collective group on Saturday. With what just happened, Padilla played good. Showed some stuff that maybe Petras will never be able to show.
First of all, you got to tell me the status of Petras.
Okay.
Is he 80% or is he 100%?
Petras is 100% by Saturday.
Yeah, anything sub 100 is Padilla for me.
Yes,
he's 100.
Correct.
Here's the scenario. He's 100%.
Then who played better Wednesday when the reps mattered?
In practice.
Because you got to make your decision off Wednesday. I guess who throws it better Fast Friday? But it's Fast Friday, dude. You know what I'm saying?
You're not making a decision on Friday, dude.
If you don't look like an All-American on Friday, then you suck.
No, this decision, assuming Spencer is healthy throughout the whole week, which is theoretically impossible.
Theoretically impossible.
We're in agreement that if Spencer is at all, if Spencer is 95%, he's not the guy. If he's
because we've already had almost no success on our own. You know, receive the ball, run the ball out to the 20-yard line, and have an 80-yard drive ahead of us. We don't have that much success this year when Spencer was healthy. Okay, so like 95%. That's less than what's already been produced. And I've already said it's not really Spencer's fault. So you might as well throw 100% healthy quarterback out behind a line that hasn't been protecting him that well, rather than a quarterback who's already got a shoulder that might be compromised. Like, why make him take more hits that he's probably going to take?
Yeah.
In theory, if you have 100% Spencer who is able to take all the reps on Tuesday and Wednesday practices, that's key. If he's not like taking reps throughout practice this week, but he's good to go by Friday, I'm still going with Padilla. But if he's good for the Tuesday, Wednesday, bulk, the biggest work days of the week for us, I'm going to go with Spencer. I think the experience matters. Like I said, if he is a clean pocket, I think he's a good quarterback.
I agree, and I think we'll have a better pocket this week against Minnesota than we had against Purdue, than we had against Wisconsin. He can make all the throws when he's healthy. He's got time. Has he been healthy last week? No. Has he had time the previous 2 weeks? No. So anything sub 100%, I'm going Padilla. Okay. I like that answer. And I think if you ask the fan base, they're probably 90-10 with Padilla.
Well, it's the thing you always talk about. It's the loudmouths who make the most noise.
Yeah.
And I would agree, probably the majority. I wouldn't say it's 90-10 by any means.
I went off a poll on.
But the casual fans like, oh my God, the offense sucks. Put in Padilla. Yeah, those people are.
It would have been because I'm under the strong opinion that if Petras is 100% on yesterday against Northwestern, that he ends up with a very similar stat line or better than Padilla had, right?
Oh, yeah, sure.
18 of 28 for 172, no touchdowns, right? That's not something that Petras hasn't done, right?
No,
170.
he's had much better days against that versus better defenses, too.
Right. So it's going to be interesting.
Like I said, I don't think we got much out of Padilla yesterday that we didn't have before. He's a little bit more mobile, can escape some pressure more so than Petras, but through the air wise, I don't think he gives us the edge that people think he does.
You said last week or maybe 2 weeks ago that there's now a leash on Spencer, assuming he gets the nod. And I think if he gets the nod, there will be boos and Kinnick, which is really unfortunate. First of all, if you are a fan listening to this podcast,
let's not boo the team. The opening drive, I think that'd be a bad thing to do for the fan base.
Here's the deal: if you are an Iowa fan and you go to the game on Saturday and you boo, if you participate in a boo against Spencer Petras, then you can stop listening to this podcast. You can walk away. We don't want you here because that is not how you support a team, right? If he is,
I'm going to say this right now: you can boo bad performance. Don't boo someone just going out to play their
for
first
getting
drive.
for being chosen by somebody else to play a position, right? Assuming that he is the guy, does the leash now get shorter now that Padilla has proven that he isn't a sack of shit? Right?
Yeah, I mean it's if you have like one of those retractable leashes for your dog, you like move it up 6 inches. I don't know.
Okay.
Yikes. Snatching his neck off his freaking shoulders.
I mean, dude, if we can't move the ball and Spencer's not connecting and all of a sudden we're down 10-3 against Minnesota.
Man, if he has a 6-inch leash, just don't start him. That's so mean.
No. I didn't say a 6-inch leash. I said the leash got 6 inches shorter.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, just a little bit shorter. In my opinion, to answer my own question posed to you two, I think I go with Padilla. And a lot of people out there are probably sitting there smirking or something because I was such a Petras guy, which is not true. It was just more so that I was trying to get across that Petras was never the sole issue. Be it as it may,
and I think the root problem is still there.
The root problem is, you could start KF out there at quarterback, and we still have questions at line for the rest of the year probably. So I think Padilla did enough, and I'm intrigued enough by his out-of-the-pocket ability that I put him out there just because I don't think starting Spencer, his positives on the pro cons chart just aren't enough to be like, oh, we're going to miss out on something, right? So for me, I'm just kind of going back to when they chose Nate because maybe one of the factors was, hey, who has the bigger upside? Maybe Padilla has this upside to him that's play extending, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'd agree with that. But I think that upside comes into play next year more so than
I agree.
More so than these last 3 games coming up here.
Yeah. Last question. Assuming Padilla gets a start and he does have that, he does have the ability to extend plays a little bit more and we are getting a little bit more time. Does that change the playbook? And I don't know, Drake, if you have an opinion on that. Does that change the way Brian calls plays if he sees that Padilla is kind of making some throws and taking chances that Spencer doesn't? He's playing in some way that just is different than Spencer. Does that open up play calls anymore or does it not?
How does he play different than Spencer? How does he create time? You know what I'm saying? Like you got to tell me how he's going to be able. Is he just scrambling around like Johnny Manziel? Like is that who this kid is? Like is he Lamar Jackson?
I was saying more
you
so.
Can't call plays for the guy that just runs around willy-nilly and just tosses it up there. I mean,
like the guy's got to either create his own time. If he's got a click button that he wasn't telling us about, that's super selfish of him. If he can just pause time and get himself to a more advantageous position,
dude, that's a reference
tell anybody,
right
then that guy can suck it, right?
Click,
but
dude. Click.
if he does not have the ability to just create his own time for the guys to get down the field, get open, and take those chances, then I just don't understand how, you know what I'm saying? That, like Kevin said, the root of the issue is still alive.
Right.
Yeah. So here's the thing. If you're like saying maybe Brian can call some longer developing routes or something like that, here's the thing. It's still damn near impossible to throw those routes when you're under pressure.
Yes. I was saying
Like you can get away from a sack, but that doesn't mean you can still complete those routes.
Yes. And
Yeah, when a guy's scrambling away from a sack and getting to the sideline, like you, even in the NFL, you see Lamar, Mahomes, anybody, they get out of the pocket. Like it might be 50% of the time that they even target somebody, and then who knows what percentage of the time that gets completed. You might be looking at like a 25% completion rate when they're scrambling out of the pocket. Like if this guy is still trying to get flushed by defensive ends, trying to even get himself in a spot in the field that he can throw it on these deep plays that we're wanting to throw, I just don't know the success rate.
Yeah. I think
I think Brian did a good job of getting some more of the skill guys involved, like Auden Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
Out just this is my one thing on the offense so far this year is we have shown throughout the year we're just really not good between the tackles right now. We broke some off. We had a couple good runs. That's more of a Northwestern being bad thing than people not being in gaps than us being good and moving people off the ball, except for Tyler Linderbaum. I think we have to be playing out in space because we got some guys that can make stuff happen out in space.
Yeah, it's a multivariable problem like it has been the whole season. I think what I was getting at there is maybe in example of that would be the one Keegan Johnson play, which I know you can't just run these plays every time and make your decision of quarterback on it. Maybe he fits the ball. He's more willing to fit a ball in a window or throw up a 50-50 ball and let our receiver go make a play than Spencer is. And maybe that's worth something. You know, maybe he's just a tad better at giving our skill guys a chance to get it in their hands. Not necessarily longer developing routes, creating more time, but in those short routes, getting it to them so that they can make a play. I don't know. Kevin, one last question.
We got one game. We got one game to look at. It's
right. No, I understand.
It's not enough body of work to make that determination from our perspective.
Last question. The defense gave up 12 points on the scoreboard. That's fantastic. There was some questionable tackling yesterday.
Yeah. The guys didn't tackle very well. There was some really just kind of looked like a lackluster a little bit.
We blame this on Ryan Field.
Well, I will say this: that field sucks.
Yeah,
the grass there, the turf there isn't great.
The smell in the locker room might actually infect you on the inside. You know what I'm saying?
They painted the walls with
as soon as you go in there and spend that hour that you wait in there, and every time you come back in, they just have re-pumped in that dog shit smell, and it just infects you and just slows you down.
Yeah, no, it could be that.
Yeah. But
I don't know.
I mean, the defense, they get a B from me.
Okay.
Gave up 9 points realistically. They had, again, the block punt. I'll give them a really good job for going back in, putting out the fire after a block punt, which, we're giving up block punts, which it just points to just a sloppy game out of the Hawkeyes.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really interesting, Kluve. Did you see this? It was a 2-man shield.
Yep.
And it was a rugby punt.
Yep.
And the one guy in the shield is blocking backside, which I thought was I don't know.
I don't believe you do that. And Drake, maybe you could chime in on that too, because you were a part of that shield. But
I think we used to do it. I do believe that was something that was in there because one of the guys extended the front side that you were going to rugby to, so that the edge was longer anyways.
But also we always did that out of a 3-man shield.
but I think we had it in to do it out of 2. We may
Kev, I don't
never
even
have done
know.
it,
I don't
So
even know
here's
if
but
it
the
maybe I'm
thing,
matters.
wrong. I could for sure be wrong.
I rewinded that play several times trying to find someone to blame.
It was
And
somebody on in the core.
so here's the thing. They blocked the 3 nearest guys there. There was 4 guys. And then there's another guy coming from the outside. So the guy in the shield blocks the guy coming from the outside. And you got one guy kind of coming through past, like on the backside end, on the backside of the end. So you got the snapper, guard, tackle, end. So the snapper in our scheme blocks no one. Snaps
Yeah.
the ball, runs down the field.
Although
Those
there
next
was
3
some,
guys took the nearest 3 guys, and there was another guy that came off the end's ass with another guy coming outside. There was an unblocked guy,
oof.
which
Oh.
is
We're
why I was
just
like,
giving one to
when
the
have we
snapper,
ever?
you know,
I
run
just, like,
away.
When
from
have
it.
we ever done a 2-man shield?
I don't know. I think in this situation, this was something we went over very briefly. And I think in that situation, if you're assuming that those guys are all coming, I think you have to go to the outside 3 guys and leave the guy who would be lined up over the guard for the snapper to chip.
Yeah. So here's another. You bring up a good point. Is they didn't block it like it was going to be a rugby punt either.
Yeah.
They did like their zone steps, put the guy on your backside.
that was the fuck up then.
when
Because
well, and that maybe it wasn't even supposed to be a rugby. I don't even know.
somebody
You
came.
got Torrey Taylor running a rugby. He's kind of
And it was-
half style rugby, trotting out to the.
And I was going to
rugby.
say, it wasn't a full rugby. It was a decently quick rugby.
But was
Right.
the Sam sprinting?
No, he was just kind of like meandering out.
Or wait, what position did I play?
I
Sam.
don't know.
I think Sam.
Was I? Yeah, if he was rolling,
The
then it was for sure-
play side shield guy is kind of like meandering out there, kind of like the same pace that the punter was.
They both blocked somebody though.
It was for sure a play call, man.
Dude, I think we might have been.
Was it the very, very far guy that was unblocked
To the punt side.
to the punt side?
Yes.
I just think it's quick, man. How quick did the punter get off his foot?
I mean, it was fairly quick. It wasn't a hold on
It's
to it.
quick, man.
But it wasn't, like a normal punt, get the ball, kick it. It was 1-2 steps, probably.
This guy came scot free, dude.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
one even touched him. And this is
Okay,
funny
I don't
because
know.
now-
I wasn't paying attention. But
Now, if
I'll be-
everybody has stayed to this part in the podcast where, I don't know, 69 nice minutes deep,
Woohoo!
you're listening to 3 guys
We're
who
balls
took
deep in this podcast.
who took a lot of pride on punt and who don't feel great about getting punts blocked. And we're all trying to figure it out.
Wait, the punt got blocked?
What do you think we've been talking about?
Dude, it got stuffed in Torrey Taylor's Australian asshole. Yeah.
Oh, see, listen, man. I
What
wasn't
did you
watching
think
the
we were
game.
talking about? I'm genuinely curious.
I thought you were talking about a punt that should have got blown up, like one of those plays where you're like, "Oh shit, that's gonna get blown up." He gets the ball off.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
didn't
no,
watch the game, and I was not hearing this
He
conversation
did
as
not
if
get.
this was a catastrophic play of the game.
No, it was.
This is like when you're on the punt team and the ball gets snapped 1 second, 2 second, and you hear the crowd go, "Ooh," and you're like, "What the fuck just happened?" You turn
Not good.
around and the punter is running after some guy with the ball kind of sputtering.
What are
on
the
ground.
what
You're
are the
like,
chances? What are the chances it was the inside slot guy that was supposed to come down and crack the end
Ooh.
man, so that
I don't know if there was one there. He was out. He was.
There was an inside slot guy because we only had a 2-man shield, so we had an extra gunner.
We might have needed to pull him back in then, and everybody block back, and then the center, then long snapper goes scot free, and basically becomes that slot guy on the gun as a gunner. Somebody.
I just think this is what I'm going to say is we're not going to be running the 2-man shield ever again.
No.
R.I.P.
I don't think the returner was that dangerous of a guy where we need another guy running down the field.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on.
We've had actually really good gunner play this year so far, so I'm not really.
You just listened to
Sure.
3 assholes who played punt try to figure out a punt at the end of a podcast. So thanks for being here, right? That's the Northwestern recap.
I got one
We
more
love
thing
you
I gotta
guys.
do.
Yes. Kevin's got some people to shout out, I think.
Yeah. So beautiful mustache. Bunch of y'all decided to donate. That was awesome of you. We raised $550. Still open. Go check the Twitter page. Check out my beautiful stash. Give a little something for men's health. But we got Chelsea Campbell, David Poe, Nick, I don't know how to say your last name, Bolt, B-U-E-L-T.
Yeah.
Tracy Lane, Louis
part of the Army.
Wickett, Chris Fisher, Kim Winslow, Brian Ulrich, Justin Northrup, Ryan Great, Lane Vandermolen, someone who is anonymous, and my very own girlfriend, Alyssa Jalamis. Thank you for donating. That was awesome of you. Low key, the girlfriend likes the stash.
I want to let you guys know that for the betterment of the podcast, I didn't make a terrible joke right before he started listing everybody's names.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. We appreciate it. That's
I was
260.
gonna say I was gonna donate you something right below that stash.
Okay. All right. Let's just.
We're gonna go ahead and reject that donation.
This podcast
is over.
Horrible. Thanks for listening. 265. The fucking pig.
Kevin Ward, good to see him back out
there. Oh, I accidentally hit the Kevin Ward as well with the cha-ching. The pig is on the line. And we want bacon. We'll see you on Thursday. Peace.